Welcome back for another video. Today, we're going to be talking about the 5 best and the 5 worst moves of the offseason, whether it's coaching hires or free agency or trades that happen, whatever it was. We're going to talk about the 5 worst and the 5 best, and we're going to start with the best. This is no particular order. We're just going to name all 5 of them. I'm going to start with DJ Moore going to the Bears. I think that was a great move for the Bears. They traded the first overall pick in 2023, and they were able to get back DJ Moore, the ninth overall pick, and the 61st overall pick in 2023, plus getting a first round pick in 2024 and a second round pick in 2025. So they got 3 drafts worth of picks plus DJ Moore, and you paired DJ Moore up with Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool, who you traded for last year. So all of a sudden, this Bears offense looks a lot more dynamic than it did in 2022. The supporting cast for Justin Fields looks a lot better. And I loved this move for the Bears. Moving on to the first thing on the worst list, it's going to be the Broncos. Overpaying, in my opinion, overpaying Mike McGlinchey. Look, I think Mike McGlinchey is a good player, but I think giving him a deal that's 5 years, $87.5 million, with 52.5 of that being guaranteed, got a $17.5 million signing bonus. Like, I just think that it was more money for Mike McGlinchey than he's put on tape the last couple of years. Like, I think early on in his career, he was super solid, but I think what he's done over the last couple of years, if you look on Twitter, like Niners Twitter was fed up with Mike McGlinchey. If you look at the stats, compare his stats and sacks given up and pressures given up over the last couple of years, like he's taken a dip downward. I think that was a bad move for the Broncos. It's an upgrade from what they had, but they overpaid for Mike McGlinchey's services, in my opinion. Moving on back to the best list, we're going to go Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. I think that was a great move, kind of for both sides, really. If you look at it, it was kind of a had to happen for the Packers. They got a decent package back, and the Jets obviously getting Aaron Rodgers. And the way that trade broke down was the Jets getting Aaron Rodgers, the 15th pick and the 170th pick in 2023, and in return getting pick 13, pick 42, and 207 in 2023, plus a conditional second round pick in 2024 that is presumably going to become a first round pick, assuming Aaron Rodgers is going to play more than 65% of the plays. So again, this was kind of a win-win for both sides. So this is one of the best deals of the offseason for sure. One of the worst of the offseason was the Cardinals hiring Jonathan Gannon as their head coach. Now, I think it was a great idea. You had to move on from Cliff Kingsbury, completely understand that move. But hiring Jonathan Gannon, of all the coaches that were out there, hiring Jonathan Gannon was easily, of the 5 new head coaches, easily the worst head coach hire of the offseason. And they could have easily gotten somebody that was better. Eric Bieniemy's been out there forever. You could have easily gotten Eric Bieniemy to come in, has had Patrick Mahomes, could work with Kyler Murray to make him more like a Patrick Mahomes than a running quarterback in the style that he's been playing. Jonathan Gannon led a defense on a team that was loaded. That defense had so much talent in Philadelphia. Should have been so much better. Should have never let up 38 points in the Super Bowl. So the hire for Jonathan Gannon was one of the worst moves of the offseason, in my opinion. One of the best moves of the offseason was in the draft when the Texans have the number 2 overall pick and traded for the third overall pick. They traded the 12th, the 33rd in 2023, plus a first and a third in 2024 for the third overall, where they ended up drafting Will Anderson. And they were also, with the second overall pick, they get CJ Stroud. That's the future of their franchise. They were able to draft 2 guys to come in and hopefully be what Deshaun Watson and J.J. Watt were for them for years, and hopefully they can do it for a longer period of time together. That's what they're hoping for, and that's what I think they'll be able to get out of those guys, a couple of centerpieces for the franchise moving forward. I think it was an excellent move. You move up into the top 5. At any point, you're probably giving up a couple of first-round picks. They gave up 4 draft picks altogether, 2 firsts, a second, and a third. I think is kind of a good deal for both sides, in my opinion. So that's one of the best moves of the offseason, in my opinion. And the Saints overpaying Derek Carr has to be on the list of the worst moves of this offseason. I'm somebody, if you've been watching this, I love Derek Carr. I think he's a good quarterback, but for where he's at, age wise, for where he's at in his career, for the production and the inconsistency that you get from Derek Carr year over year, like as much as I like him, I'll be honest with him, like he got overpaid. There's no way he should be in the same realm as Patrick Mahomes. Like he got a lot of money, and he's a good businessman. Saints needed a guy, he needed a place to play. Like I understand it from that aspect, but when you really look at it, like look at the numbers that he's getting paid, look at who else is making $40+ million a year. Like Derek Carr just shouldn't be in that realm. Like, do I think he deserves more than the 25 to 30 that some quarterbacks like Carson Wentz has been getting over the last couple of years? Yes, I do. I think Derek Carr, his acceptable number would have been around, 32, 33 million if I was going to be a GM somewhere. But in my opinion, he got overpaid, and it's a team that's been in salary cap hell for years. So I didn't really understand this move. I think it's one of the worst moves of the 2023 offseason. One of the best things that happened this offseason was the Lions upgrading their secondary with Cam Sutton and CJ Gardner-Johnson, two guys that are a couple of the best at their position in the NFL, and bringing them in, bolstering the secondary that's been one of the worst for years. I feel like pretty much every year that we've been putting out content, we've talked about the Lions secondary being absolute garbage. They tried to fix that when they drafted Jeff Okudah. They trade him, so he's not going to be around anymore. But the upgrades that they've done, obviously, it's highlighted by Cam Sutton, CJ Gardner-Johnson. They drafted a couple of guys. They signed some guys in free agency. So I think what they've done this offseason, the Lions upgrading their secondary, is one of the best things to happen this offseason. One of the worst things to happen comes from the Chiefs overpaying Jawan Taylor $20 million. And Jawan Taylor's a fine tackle, right? And tackles are getting paid a lot of money. I understand that. But they could have paid Orlando Brown $20 million a year. Orlando Brown ended up getting $16 million from the Bengals. He walked away from $20 million with the Chiefs. And I just think at the end of the day, like, if you're paying Jawan Taylor $20 million, you should have just paid Orlando Brown $20 million, because Orlando Brown is the kind of tackle that you want to pay top dollar. Jawan Taylor is the kind of guy that his inconsistencies, he's good enough, long enough that he could get a decent amount of money, but like 12 to 13 million is where Jawan Taylor would have been. Like he's one of the better tackles in the league, but not Orlando Brown. So I think that's one of the worst moves that happened in the offseason, was them deciding to overpay Jawan Taylor. Now, the last thing on the list of the top 5 things that happened in the NFL offseason was the Bengals being able to sign Orlando Brown, taking advantage of the fact that the Chiefs were unable to finish the deal with Orlando Brown. Whatever happened in that deal, he turned down $20 million a year with the Chiefs, and the Bengals capitalized and are the team that is able to get him for $16 million a year. And that's exactly what the Bengals have needed for years, is people to protect their new franchise quarterback, Joe Burrow. And they finally get the left tackle for multiple years in Orlando Brown. He's one of the best in the NFL, and to be able to get him at $16 million a year, it's a steep price for a tackle when they go to want to re-sign Joe Burrow, and they're going to want to re-sign Jamar Chase. They're going to have to figure some things out with the cap, and it's going to make things difficult with that kind of contract on there, but it could have been worse. And they were able to take advantage of it. So they're in the top 5 for one of the best deals that happened in 2023 NFL offseason. And to finish off the video and to finish off the list of the worst things that happened in the NFL offseason, it was the Titans trading up for the second straight year for a quarterback. Last year was Malik Willis. Malik Willis might not even be on the roster anymore. And this year they traded up to draft Will Levis. And sure, Will Levis, just like any other quarterback, could come out, light the world on fire. Brock Purdy was an undefeated quarterback for the 49ers. He was Mr. Irrelevant. Ended up in the NFC Championship game. Could have easily won that game if he doesn't get hurt. So anything can happen, but in my opinion, Will Levis especially where he was drafted at. Going to end up being a bust for the Titans. And in my opinion, this is one of the worst things that happened, one of the worst deals that happened in the NFL offseason 2023. I'd love to know what you think were some of the worst moves to happen in 2023 NFL offseason. You let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and keep coming back every day for more offseason content. We'll see you for the next video.